In 2016, the 31st Summer Olympic Games were held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Perhaps one of the most storied Olympic events ever. Not so much for the competition, the sportsmanship, or the athleticism, because, who really cares about any of that? It was storied because of what an absolute disaster this event was. An event often referred to as the Apocalyptics. But of all the disasters tied to this event, perhaps the most elusive is one that would often come up on 4chan's paranormal board, X. The Brazilian Spongebob incident. The supposed Brazilian Spongebob incident involved a broadcast intrusion that caused several people to poop their pants. So for today's episode of Tales from the Internet, let's take a look at what might be Brazil's equivalent to the Max Headroom incident. This video is brought to you by AG1 by Athletic Greens. Around the time that Athletic Greens contacted me about this sponsorship, I had been talking in the boys chat about probiotics. So when I'm looking up probiotics, I just happened to come across AG1 by Athletic Greens. And I found that on top of that, it's also full of vitamins that I was already taking, but in one convenient powder as opposed to me opening up a bunch of different bottles. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to deal with all that, and AG1 has made the process much simpler, clearing up all that cabinet space. It contains 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens in one convenient daily serving. This blend of ingredients helps your body's nutritional needs and supports gut health, immunity, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. And they've been fine-tuning their formula over the past decade, with 52 different improved formulas. So you can be assured that what you're getting with AG1 is based on the most current research. It's really easy, just 1 scoop or travel packet, 8 ounces of water every day, and that's it. Just go to the link in the description now to get a year's supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 travel packs for free with your first purchase. This is a game changer for supporting your immune system. AG1 provides your body with everything it needs for optimal performance every day, so just go to the link in the description to get started. Despite allegedly occurring in 2016, the earliest reference I could find to the Brazilian Spongebob incident was in 2018. A thread on X, Lost Media thread. Top 10 Lost Media, who are they? You have a lot of familiar items pop up in there like the Junko Furuta tapes, or Saki Sanobashi, but there are also quite a few less commonly known ones, including some that I was not familiar with at all. But it's one post in particular that sends a lot of people in the thread for a loop. A bunch of missing 9/11 footage that was seen and not seen before, the confiscated photos and films from Japanese filmmakers during Hiroshima and Nagasaki that are stored in an archive, a lot of Doctor Who episodes, the Brazilian Spongebob incident that made people poop themselves to the point of needing hospitalization allegedly right before the Olympics. And they were so fascinated by it that another thread about just this was made the next day. And a few different people on both threads seemed somewhat familiar with the tale, although with similar but slightly different tellings. But here's the gist of what allegedly happened. Right before the Olympics broadcast in Brazil began, an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants starts to play. Some say that this was a broadcast error, like the time in 2007 that Comcast accidentally played hardcore porn on the Disney Channel.
How embarrassing!
Others say that this was a deliberate broadcast intrusion along the likes of the Max Headroom incident. And nobody seems to recall what episode exactly it was, although some have brought up Squidward's suicide, which is a supposed lost episode that, was just a part of some bullshit creepypasta. Others claim that it was a bootleg SpongeBob-like show, which was actually something pretty common in Brazil. Brazil being the home of such classics as The Little Panda Fighter, The Little Cars in the Great Race, and of course, who could forget Ratatouille. But the episode that played isn't actually that important. What's actually important is that during this broadcast, what allegedly played was the Brown Note, not to be confused with the similarly titled Acacia Strain song. I'm talking about the supposed audio frequency between 5 Hz and 9 Hz that can't be heard, but it can be felt. And when you feel it, it makes you shit your pants. Thus, you have everyone in Brazil at home getting ready to watch the Rio Olympics. All of a sudden, SpongeBob comes on and they all shit their pants. But despite so many people in Brazil shitting their pants at once, almost none of the many Brazilian users of 4chan seem to remember this happening. Why could that be? You were too busy shitting your pants. Others claimed there was a concerted effort by the Brazilian media or government to cover up this story. I'm Brazilian and can confirm. This were all over the news in Rio. I remember seeing news reports with Olympics representatives doing some major damage control. No clips of the episode shown though. But there are a few problems with this story. For starters, pretty much no TV is actually capable of producing this frequency. It's rare that a TV can produce anything lower than even 60 Hz. Now, if you have a home theater system with very expensive audio equipment, you can get a bit lower, but generally not that low. Why would they? It's just not necessary because you can't hear it. Furthermore, even if they could generate this frequency, the consensus seems to be that the brown note is a myth. Throughout the years, many people, such as the Mythbusters, have attempted to make themselves shit their pants with this note. They tried out these low frequencies and failed. For the Mythbusters, there were other effects like feelings of nausea, anxiety, shortness of breath, but no poop. The same goes for experiments conducted by NASA. These ones didn't involve just listening to the frequency, it involved very low frequencies being sent directly to the body with vibrations. These subjects had similar complaints, nausea, anxiety, shortness of breath, but once again, no poop. It's commonly believed that the myth of the brown note originates from a satirical article in the December 1974 issue of New Science. The article describes the creation of an amplification device known as the colossophone. During the official inauguration of the device, Prince Albert amplifies the national anthem through the horn, causing the entire audience to shit themselves. Something that the prince believed to be a protest at the time. Although the article was, as I said, satirical, a lot of people just wound up believing it, and thus you have the myth of the brown note entering the popular consciousness. All that being said, I don't think that the idea of the Brazilian Spongebob incident just simply manifested itself out of nowhere in 2018. Although it's possible that that ex-poster just made it up on the spot, I think it's more likely that this rumor was circulating around the time it was claimed to have happened. I had actually forgotten all about this until working on this video, which is pretty funny since I actually made a video on this topic back in the day. Think about the 2016 Olympics. They were such a massive disaster that they would often be called the Apocalyptics, just because of the sheer massive logistical, environmental, and humanitarian disasters that occurred during it. You had things like living quarters with unfinished sinks that are holes that just go down to the lower floors, reporters getting mugged, Olympians' rooms getting robbed, fake recycling bins that empty out into the regular garbage, the Olympic diving pool being closed because the entire building smelled like farts, the airport getting flooded with shit water, hotels getting flooded with shit water, the water for the rowing event being flooded with shit, competitors shitting themselves. I think you get the gist. So with all the legitimate stories of what a disaster these Olympics were, many of the stories involving shit, it stands to reason that a few fake ones, whether it be as a joke or as a troll, materialize and work their way into the public consciousness. So no, the Brazilian Spongebob incident was most likely not real, but it makes sense why people might have thought it was. Oh, another shit thing happened at the Rio Olympics? Sure, why not? But anyway, that's all for now. If you like this video, check out my video about the Max Headroom incident. I'm out.